Hi friends and students, I am very much happy to meet you through this MadeEasy channel. I am Balaji. I have 20 plus years of experience in the power sectors like generation and transmission. Teaching is my passion. Because of this passion, I am sharing my knowledge through GATE and Engineering Service and Civil Service Examination. I have been associating with MadeEasy for the last 12 years, mainly teaching power system, electrical and electronic measurements and instrumentation. Daily I am getting so many mails and telegram messages from my dear students from MadeEasy or from other students also. They are actually want more information how to prepare for the interviews, NTPC and Power Grid and other sectors like ONGC after they are getting good ranks in GATE examinations. So, to help those students, I am planning to make a video related to the power of engineers in power plants. This video will be very useful not only for the electrical students, it will be very useful for electrical, electronics, instrumentation and mechanical students. So that it will be covering, I am covering many of the areas related to the what is the role of engineers in the power sector. Think of the statistics of the power sector of India. Recently, this is the month, actually mid of this month of August 13th, they have 2020, they have the Central Electricity Authority released the power demand and what are the sources of power, how you are getting the power in the website. So, from this data, you can observe here the total power demand or power consumption in India is around 370 gigawatts or 3,70,000 megawatts. This 370 gigawatts of power is generating by using different sources. One of the main source is thermal. Whenever I am saying that thermal, it is actually including coal based, gas based and one more is of diesel. Out of this, coal sharing is much more higher. The coal sharing is around 55.4% and the gas based is around 6.7% and the diesel is of 0.1%. The total together of thermal sharing itself is in India 62.2% is the total sharing. Now, coming to the next part is of renewable energy sources. In case of renewable energy sources, actually you can think of solar plant, another is a wind plant, another one is of biomass and small hydro plants. So, sharing of all this one is around 23.7%. Out of which solar and wind share will be more, it is around approximately 10 and 10%. Now, if you think of next one is of the large hydro plants. Large hydro power generation comes around 12.3% and the nuclear power generation comes around 1.8%. These are total power sharing by different sources of India were actually located throughout the India. So, we are the people, we are the engineers, we are powering the nation through our efforts and our potentials. So, what our main goal, you must understand the young engineers, those who are preparing for all the examination like GATE examination and engineering service and civil service examination. This video will help you a lot how you have to think of the examination point of view or the power sector point of view or a power plant point of view, so that it will be easy for you to tackle the interviews sessions and as well as writing the competitive examinations of all India level competitive examinations. So, I am taking a simple power plant. So, in this power plant, especially the sharing of coal based plant is much higher in India, it is around 55.4%. So, that actually I am explaining one simple layout of the thermal power plant or coal based power plant. So, in that which area your department will comes into picture like electrical department, instrumentation, mechanical and electronics department, so that which area you can expect more questions from this power sector will get the idea. Now, think of our coal based main thermal plant. In this case, the main thing you have to think of what is the principle this plant is actually works. The basic principle of the thermal plant is of working on principle of Rankine cycle. In case of Rankine cycle, what we require is we require a pump for pumping of the water. This pump is actually pressurizing the water, that pressurized water is passing through a boiler. Inside the boiler we are firing the coal is used to convert water into steam. the steam which is actually pressurized with high temperature and high pressure is entering into the turbine. Inside the turbine it will expand and it is doing some work as a mechanical work. That mechanical work is used for rotating of the generator where you are getting electrical power output. After work done by the steam inside the turbine, it is actually condensed inside the condenser, and the water which is actually available in the condenser is once again feeding to the pump. See the process of complete process. We are using a pump, boiler, turbine and condenser. This complete cycle is what we call it as a Rankine cycle. But nowadays we are using not only Rankine cycle, we are using modified Rankine cycle or reheat Rankine cycle, in which reheating of the steam is done for improving the efficiency of the thermal plant. Now you can think of here, in case of coal based plant, what we are actually using, the first energy is of chemical energy which is converted into heat energy, and this heat energy is converted into mechanical energy. This mechanical energy is finally converted into electrical energy. For this conversion, we have to use here chemical energy is converting into heat. Which chemical I am using? I am using a chemical is of coal. Where the coal is burnt inside a boiler. And inside the boiler, we are actually sending the water is gaining the heat given by the burning of the coal, we use it for conversion of the steam. That steam energy, whatever is there, entering into the turbine. So here I want one more device is of turbine. This turbine will take the steam and it will produce a mechanical power. This mechanical power is connected, this turbine is cascade or connected to the generator. This generator will produce an electrical output which is converting mechanical output into electrical output. So the basic requirement for the thermal plant like coal based plant, and as well as in case of gas based plant also, basic thing is of what? Boiler, we require a turbine and generator. You think of here gas based plant, instead of coal I am using of gas is actually used. So in case of thermal plant point of view of coal based plant, the coal we are using is of two types of coals. One we are using is of lignite and another is of what? Bituminous coal. Out of this one, bituminous coal sharing is much higher and the calorific value of the bituminous is also higher, so that many of the plants in India is based on the bituminous plant. Bituminous coal based, and some plants are there which uses a coal of lignite coal is also used. So just I am taking for explaining this complete process, I am taking a simple layout of the thermal plant. In this layout, I will actually show the path of the each section and what is the role of engineers in each department, what are the questions you can expect in the particular department for the interview point of view and as well as for the examination point of view. Now I have taken a simple example of thermal plant layout. This is one of the standard question you can expect in the interviews as well as in your mains examination of our engineering service examination and civil service examination also, and as well as for not only for electrical engineering, for mechanical engineering also in power plant engineering. In this example, I have considered a generator which is having a capacity of 210 MVA capacity, where the electrical power output is having a frequency of 50 Hertz. Now see the components, main components of this particular thermal plant. One is a boiler, already explained. Inside the boiler we are sending the coal. The coal is a chemical energy. When the coal is fired, produces heat. The heat is used to convert water into steam, so that it is converting chemical energy into heat energy. So this heat, because of that heat, the water is converting into steam. The steam is admitting into the turbine. So the turbines we are generally using for high capacity generators of high pressure turbine, intermediate pressure turbine and low pressure turbine. So these turbines are used to convert the heat energy into mechanical energy. These turbines are coupled to the generator which is providing with the excitation. So this generator will convert the mechanical energy into electrical energy. Those electrical energy is applied to a transformer. This transformer is from the output of the transformer, we step up the voltage and we are transferring the electrical power to the consumer end through transmission lines and different feeders we are feeding to the consumer end. So this is the total process of the thermal plant, where the chemical energy inside the boiler converting into heat energy. The heat energy is converting into mechanical energy inside the turbine, and mechanical energy is converting into into electrical energy inside the generator. So now for producing this 50 hertz of frequency of the signal of generator, now you can think of a simple logic here. Here what is the simple speed of the generator? This is actually given by 120 F by P, where F is the frequency, P is the number of poles. In a practical generator, this number of poles of the generator is 2 poles. So if you consider this actually having 2 poles, I want to get this 50 hertz of signal. The speed of the generator which we have to get is 3000 RPM, and 3000 by 60, because of 1 minute having 60 seconds, that we can substitute here. This actually comes around 50 revolutions per second. Now you can imagine this is the speed what you are getting in terms of revolutions per minute and revolutions per second. Now you can imagine this is a simple marker pen. This marker pen, if I want to rotate by 1 revolution, it is taking more than 1 second. But the same marker pen, if I am actually rotating for 50 revolutions per second, how much of energy is requiring? Requiring more energy is actually required. Similarly, you can imagine the generator. For simple marker pen, it is taking more than 1 second for a small size. See, think of generator rotor. Generator rotor is having a huge size, that is actually length is more and diameter is also more. So for rotating such a huge mass of the particular generator, how much of energy is required? At a speed of 50 revolutions per second, within second 50 revolutions it has to make. For producing such a huge amount of 50 revolutions per second, we have to admit the steam input inside the turbine of very high quantity we have to use. So the practical values of the parameters of the steam we are admitting into this turbine. Just I am giving these the practical values. These values are, it is of 150 kgs per centimeter square of steam pressure, and it is of 540 degrees centigrade of steam temperature, and 600 tons per hour of steam flow rate has to be, we have to send inside the turbine. 150 kgs of pressure, 540 degrees centigrade of temperature, 600 tons per hour of steam flow rate. If you send inside the turbine, then only you can able to rotate the generator at a speed of 50 revolutions per second. But how to get these parameters of the steam, these high values, high parameters? For that purpose, we are using all these equipments, whatever actually I have drawn. I am not given the names, now I will fill up the names, you will get the idea. These are some equipments are there, these are some equipments are there. All these equipments is what we call it as auxiliary equipments of our thermal plant. Now I will explain the process of this thermal plant. This is also a very simple one, but very, very important. Now you can imagine here. First what we require is water. The water we have to send, and we have to fill up this water inside this hot well. So this is H by W is nothing but hot well. So the water what we are using in case of our thermal plants is of DM water. What is the meaning of this DM water? Is called demineralized water. That means the minerals inside the water is completely removed. What is the need of making this DM water is, if mineralized water if you send through the boiler tubes, then scaling will form that will cause us corrosion and damages the boiler tubes are getting damaged. Because of that reason, we are completely removing the minerals inside the water. We will use DM water. In this DM water, it should not be acidic, it should be alkaline. For that purpose, the pH value of this DM water is more than 9, around 10 it is maintained. So here pH value is more than 9, maintained DM water is filled inside this hot well. This is actually hot well at a room temperature of 40 degrees centigrade, think of 40 degrees centigrade, and at a pressure of atmospheric pressure of 1 kg. But what is our requirement? These are our requirement. For producing this many requirements, this water is passing through one of the pump. This is what called condensate extraction pump. The name we call it as condensate extraction pump. I am not writing the names, but I am explaining. Condensate extraction pump. The output of this condensate extraction pump, it will produce us a pressure of 16 kgs per centimeter square. Everything is 16 kg per centimeter square. The output of this condensate extraction pump is passing through LPH. LPH nothing but low pressure heater. It will raise the water temperature up to 110 degrees centigrade. and it is passing through one of the area what called deaerator. I am writing this name because for the interview point of view, this is actually given by, sorry, I am writing this is actually given by deaerator. So, this deaerator main de-air, the meaning of this de-air, removing the dissolved gases or main bubbles, air bubbles inside the water. If these air bubbles are dissolved gases which are actually available inside the water, if you send into the turbine, turbine blades will get damaged. For protection of the turbine blades from this main air molecules, we are supposed to use this diesel deaerator. This is actually one important device for your interview point of view is important. Okay. Use it for removing of air molecules. Now, after this deaerator, water is sending to the one of the important pump. This is what called boiler feed pump. This boiler feed pump is the highest power consuming pump in the thermal plant. It will consume a power of around 4 megawatt of power, electrical power. Generally, they are each pumps of 3 pumps are actually existing in the plant. Out of these 3 pumps, 2 pumps are running, one is standby. If working pumps, one of the pump is failed, then the standby pump is they will taken into consideration. So, this boiler feed pump is actually having around 4 megawatts of power consumption, each one total of 8 megawatts generally it will actually consume. The purpose of this boiler feed pump is increasing the pressure of the water. It will raise the pressure of the water up to 165 kg. This is the highest pressure generating pump in the case of thermal plant. So, this 165 kg of water pressure which is entering into high pressure heater. So, pressure is actually high pressurized water is sending, that is getting heated by using this high pressure heater, and this high pressure heater output is around 180 degrees or 190 degrees centigrade, right. This water is sending to the economizer, this ECO, nothing but economizer. The main functioning of the economizer is to improve the thermal efficiency. Clear? How actually it will improve the thermal efficiency is when the coal is fired, flue gases are produced. So, the flue gas is having more energy. We should not waste that energy, heat energy. So, wherever the possible the heat energy you are supposed to extract. So, by using this economizer, we try to extract the last areas of heat, so that improving the thermal efficiency. So, the output of this economizer, we are getting the temperature of the water is around 300 degrees centigrade. Now, this water is still it is in the water format. Remember this one. Normally, if you think of is 100 degrees centigrade, if you boil the water, it will becoming steam. But what is the condition of the pressure? Pressure in that case is 1.2 kgs only. So, if you think of here, the pressure of the water is actually 165 kgs. Temperature is 300. Still, it is in the water format only. Don't think that it is becoming steam now. Right. Now, this water is sending into the drum. Now, I can observe one important point. Basically, in the case of thermal plants, we are having is one is of supercritical thermal plant, another is of subcritical thermal plants. Supercritical thermal plants does not have this drum. Normally, supercritical thermal plants having the capacity of the generators is more than 500 MVA capacity generators are there. There actually they can use of around main supercritical thermal plants are actually used, right. So, in the case of supercritical thermal plants, the pressures of pressures of steam is around 220 or 300 tons per hour of steam, pressures are there, 220 bar, you can think of it, this is actually given by 220 kgs per centimeter square of steam is actually used, and the temperature is around 375 degrees centigrade. Like that they can use in case of supercritical boilers, but in most of the cases of less than 500 MVA capacity, they can use of subcritical boilers. In this subcritical boilers having a drum, supercritical, I am repeating, supercritical does not have the drum. In the supercritical, what they will do, they will convert water into steam directly without using drum. But in subcritical, they are using drum. Inside the drum, they are sending the water. So, now the water is there. This is actually water is filled, not complete one. 50% of level of the drum, water is actually filled. Now, the water will circulate This is the water path, you can imagine. This water is falling, naturally water will fall down, and this water is now, it is raised. During this process, now you can imagine this boiler. The boiler is actually, imagine that tubes are there. Imagine one room, you can imagine. In this actually room, the walls, whatever is there inside the room, think of as water tubes. That means steel tubes are there, metallic tubes are there, inside this water is flowing. And the empty space, whatever is available in the room, we are actually burning the coal. So what is actually happening? Coal is burned, produces heat. That heat is transferred to the walls. Walls is nothing but now tubes. Inside the tubes, what you are having? Water. So the heat is transmitted into the water. Water is converting into steam. So now the water, whatever is flowing inside the tubes, will gain the heat energy that is used, that is used for conversion of water into steam. Now the steam, now it is entering into the main drum. So water and steam mixture both will enter into the drum, and here they are using one mechanism called turbo separator. Turbo separator. It will separate the water and steam. Now 50% of the drum level is normally maintained water and 50% is maintained steam. The main idea of using this 50% almost all, big idea is, if the water level, if it is more, in case of drum, very high value of water level is there, what will happen? More of the, instead of steam, more of the water will entering into the turbine blades will get damaged. Drum level is higher, indicates turbine blades will be getting damaged. If drum level is low, that means water level. Drum level is high means water level is high. Water level is high, spoil the turbine. If water level is low, what will happen? There is no sufficient amount of cooling medium, there is nothing but water is not flowing inside the tubes. If the tubes sufficient amount of water is not flowing, but the coal is already burnt, it is gaining the energy, so the tubes are getting damaged. When tubes are getting damaged, automatically, this is actually main drawback of drum level is actually, our water level is less in the drum. Okay? That is why you have to maintain the water and drum levels are 50% and 50%, or water and steam levels are maintained at 50% and 50% are actually maintained. Right. Now, this water and steam level is actually entering, and during this time the water temperature is actually raised to around 350 degrees centigrade, a water and steam mixture temperature. Now, what is the steam which is available? This steam is now applied to HT superheater inlet. So, this HT superheater inlet, because steam is heated up to the superheated level, these are the parameters are superheated. It will raise the temperature of the steam from a value of 350 or 400 degrees centigrade to a value of the required values of how much? Of 540 degrees centigrade it will raise. So, this steam now it is entering into the turbine through the governing valve. This is what called high pressure governing valve. This is the governing valve which is used to control the speed of the turbine by admitting or by controlling the steam flow rate into the turbine. This is one, and this is also one more governing valve, that is what called intermediate pressure governing valve. Right. Now, the steam whatever is admitting into the turbine will be expanded. After expansion of the steam, it will do some work, and the output of this HP turbine is comes around 28 kgs of pressure, drops to 28 kgs per centimeter square, and the temperature is actually coming around 340 degrees centigrade. So, here the pressure will drop and temperature will also drops, so that some work is actually done because of the energy transformation of pressure and temperature dropping. Right. Now you can observe here. In old type of turbine system, what are the pressures and temperatures are there? Small capacity generators you can imagine, small capacity generators you can imagine, directly they can connect to the condenser, and from the condenser actually they are using a pump where actually steam is converting into water, and that water is sending back inside into the boiler. This is the process what they are using in the case of low capacity turbines or low capacity generator point of. But here in this case, huge amount of pressure is there, temperature is there. Why you can make this steam of high pressure and high temperature into water? Instead of that, if you reheat once again, so that the efficiency of the thermal plant is getting improved. So, here what they are using is whatever the temperature and pressure is coming out from the HP turbine is passing through IT superheater. That is what called intermediate temperature superheater. The output of intermediate temperature superheater now is used to improve the parameters of the steam. It will raise the steam temperature to 540 degrees centigrade, but pressure will drop to 26 kgs because of the volume of the IP turbine is much higher than the HP turbine. Right. These parameters are entering into the intermediate pressure turbine. So, through the IP governing valve. So, these two governing valves are used to control the speeds of the steam flow rate, speeds of the turbine by controlling the steam flow rate. So, this is also one more important point for the electrical engineers, where how to control the speeds of our turbines, or another way they will ask how to control the frequency. So, in my regular class I am doing all these diagrams with all the animation point of view, or any regular form in diagrammatically how the governing valve looks like and all. Now, you can think of now in the case of HP governing valve and IP governing valve, these are mainly used for controlling of speeds of the turbine and speeds of the generator that will indirectly affect the frequency. So, this is a simple one. If you want to control the speed, if I want to control the speed, because of P is the number of poles are constant, what will be controlled? Frequency will be controlled. In another way, frequency is controlled by controlling the speed. How to control the speed? The speed will be controlled by controlling the governing valve position. That means steam flow rate is actually controlled. Right. This is a frequency control. That is what generally you call it as speed governing valve control method for frequency control. Right. This is also one of the important questions for the interviews point of view. Now, this is an IP turbine. After this IP turbine, the steam pressures and after expansion of the steam inside this IP turbine, here the parameters of steam now drops to value of around less than 5 kgs of pressure, around 2 to 3 kgs, and the temperature is comes around 340 degrees centigrade. Now, this steam is entering into the LP turbine, and here the steam will expand. When the steam is expanded, then the pressure is this is very important, drops to less than 1 kgs, temperature is around 250 degrees centigrade. Right. Now, you can observe here, pressure is less than 1 kg, that means it is less than atmospheric. Less than atmospheric, how to extract the steam? For that, the condenser inside, you have to maintain one vacuum pump is actually maintained. The vacuum pump will maintain the negative pressure inside the condenser, which is used to extract the steam from the LP turbine. It will improve the thermal efficiency. Vacuum creation will actually use it to do the proper work inside the LP turbine, but the drawback for this condenser is 250 degrees centigrade of steam, which is in the vacuum condition. We cannot able to pump directly into the boiler. For that, what you have to do that? We have to convert this steam inside into the water. For conversion of steam into the water, what they can use here, they are using a simple circulating water pump. Take river water. This is a raw water. Take this water, it is around 30 degrees centigrade of room temperature, and it is passing through a pipeline. This actually you can think of this through a pipeline, it will pass, and by what this water will do now, water will gain the steam. So, water will take the heat from the steam, and the steam water temperature will be now raised around 50 to 60 degrees centigrade, and this water temperature is reduced by using a cooling tower. In case of cooling tower, we are doing two types, one is of natural and another is forced. In case of natural cooling tower, the height of the cooling tower is around 120 meters height. From the 120 meter height, water at high temperature will actually fall through the gravity. By the time it will reach the gravity level, automatically the water temperature reduced to room temperature of 30-35 degrees centigrade. So, this is the process of what? Circulating water scheme. Now, the water whatever is available, a steam which is available, which is converting in the form of what? Water. That water is now around 40 degrees centigrade, and this water is once again used for this complete process. Okay, this is the simple layout of our thermal plant of complete Rankine cycle point of view. You can imagine, in case of Rankine cycle, especially for the mechanical student, then you know better. So in this Rankine cycle, what you are having? You are having a pump. These are the pumps. Basically, this is actually, you can think of as boiler feed pump. Particularly, you are having a condensate extraction pump and boiler feed pump. These are the two pumps, right? So the water, whatever is coming here from the hot well, I am repeating, just this is for your easy understanding, I am repeating. So the water which is actually coming, which is passing through different stages, and in this stage, we are increasing the water pressure and water temperature for improvement of thermal efficiency, that you can remember, right? So condensate extraction pump, LP heaters and deaerator, boiler feed pump, HP heater. Remember one more point here. What is the meaning of these heaters here? LP heaters and HP heaters. These are not the electrical heaters just like what you are using in case of immersion heater in house. These are the steam heaters. LP heaters and HP heaters are steam heaters. How you are getting how it works is basically one of the important areas by calculating the efficiency of the turbines and all. What they will do, one of the stages of the LP turbine, they will take the steam, that steam is admitting into the LP heaters, and one of the stages of HP turbine, they will take this steam, that steam is entering into the HP heaters. So inside this HP heater, inside the HP heater is tubes are there. Similarly, LP heater also same thing. In this one also having tubes. So you can imagine like this. This is a HP heater. Here in this one, you can imagine like this is a tube. Okay. So this is a tube you can imagine, right? Water is flowing through the tube. Steam is coming from the turbine. Steam is accumulating here. What will happen now? The steam energy, heat is transmitting into the water, so that the water temperature rise up to 109 degrees centigrade. Similarly, here also you are having a tube is there. Inside the tube water is flowing. Outside the steam is there. Water will gain the temperature from the steam. The water temperature will rise, so that improving the thermal efficiency. So these are the main meaning of these heaters of LP heaters and HP heaters. This is also one more interesting question generally you can expect. From what is the meaning of LP and HP heaters? How will work? Whether it is how much of they will, to make you confused, they will ask this type of question also. For LP and HP heaters, how much is the power we are actually providing? What type of coils they are using inside this one? Is it electrical coil or using the steam coils or water tube coils? These are all the simple questions that you should think of here, right? Now, repeating, they are taking the water. Water is actually pumping, passing through different areas like condensate extraction pump, LP heaters, raise the temperature, deaerator, remove the gas molecules, boiler feed pump, raise the high pressure of water into high pressure, and high pressure heater, raise the temperature to 109 degrees centigrade, passing through economizer. It will improve thermal efficiency by taking the heat from the flue gases, so that temperature of the water is improved without wasting the heat energy of the flue gases, and it is passing to the drum, where actually water will actually coming to the inside the drum. In case of subcritical, drum is used. Supercritical, you are not using drum, water is directly converted to steam. In case of supercritical boilers, I already told. This is actually water will actually circulate coming back, and it will actually rise. One more important point you can observe here. In case of less than 500 MVA capacity generators, normally they will not use any pump. So water is falling from, normally the height of the boiler is around 100 meters. From the height of 100 meters of the boiler drum to the ground level, water will fall naturally through gravity. By the time it will actually rise, coming back, and it will gain the heat, and water is converting to steam. So the density difference of water and steam, is used for circulation of the water from drum to the boiler to once again go back to the drum. It is mainly due to density difference of water and steam. That type of circulation is called as natural circulation. Natural circulation means water from the drum to the boiler and once again to the drum will actually circulation will occur naturally without using any pump, right? This is actually used in less than 500 MVA generator capacities. If you are using for more than 500 MVA generator capacities, what they are using is they are adding one more pump is actually added. This pump will use for circulating of water and steam from the drum to the once again to the drum to the boiler to the drum. Okay, so this is actually extra pump is used in case of more than 500 MVA capacity generators. Okay, that is what called forced circulation. Okay, that you should think of natural circulation. What is meaning of forced circulation, right? Now, from the economizer, the steam is actually coming here from the inside the drum. Steam we are taken out. It is passing through high temperature superheater. These are all mainly to improve the thermal efficiency. The high temperature superheater is now it is entering into the high pressure governing valve, and after expansion of the steam inside the turbine, now it is actually steam pressure will be dropped, and this is actually the modern Rankine cycle or reheat Rankine cycle. So, in case of Rankine cycle, pump to the boiler, boiler to the turbine, turbine to the condenser, once again the process is going on. That is actually normal Rankine cycle. If you think of here reheat Rankine cycle or modern Rankine cycle, in the modern Rankine cycle we are using extra of what? Reheating is actually done inside the IT superheater, so that improving the thermal efficiency. So, mechanical people will know better what is meaning of Rankine cycle, what is reheating Rankine cycle. So, that you can think of the graph between temperature versus entropy, the area of the energy area point of view will be improved by using this reheating process, right. Now, in this process, when the temperature of the steam is increased, that high temperature steam is entering into the IP turbine. After work done, the pressure and temperature will be dropped, that is directly entering into the LP turbine, and after work done, it is entering into the condenser. Inside the condenser, the vacuum is actually maintained for improving the efficiency, and this steam which is under a vacuum condition is converting into water by using a circulating water is actually used. This is the area most of the energy is wasted in the thermal plant. That is why thermal efficiency point of view, boiler efficiency is more, main generator efficiency is more, but turbine efficiency, because of the condenser, turbine efficiency is less. If you take here, overall efficiency is multiplication of boiler efficiency, turbine efficiency and generator efficiency. Overall efficiency of the thermal plant is normally 38 to 39% or around 35 to 40% you can think of. Now, in case of supercritical boilers, because of the drum is not there, the efficiency is comes around more than 40 to 43% you can able to expect in case of what supercritical type of thermal plants. Okay, that is the basic difference. What is actually the efficiency point of view for subcritical and supercritical you can think of, less than 39 to 38. In case of subcritical, it is 42, 43. In case of what? Supercritical type of main thermal plants you can think of. This is about the simple process of thermal plant in one side. Come to the other part. In the other part of this one here, you can observe. Here, we have to send a coal inside the boiler. But think of the coal mines. Inside the coal mines, the coal is in the form of bigger boulders, 1 kg, 2 kg, 3 kg are there. The coal will be transported by using railway wagons, dumping into the coal yard, and from the coal yard they will take the coal by using the conveyor belts. They are transferring the coal up to the boiler, but in between what they will do, the bigger sizes of coal of 1 kg, 2 kg are there. Those coal is converting into 20 to 30 mm size of small size by using crushers and crushing house. So, inside the crusher house they are converting bigger bolts of 1 kg, 2 kg coal into 20 to 30 mm size, and that coal will be transmitted by using a conveyor belts up to the main boiler. This is actually what call it as a coal hopper. So, inside this coal hopper normally we are maintaining this coal is around 20 to 30 mm size. So, this is actually of 20 to 30 mm size of coal is actually placed, and from the coal hopper we are sending the coal into the mill. The purpose of this mill, we are using normally ball mills are now used. In case of two types of mills are there, one is bowl mill, another is ball mill. Most of the generating stations we are using ball mill. They are using inside a balls are there that is used to crush the coal. So, now the coal whatever is actually converting into fine powder, that is what called pulverized coal. That because of the pulverized coal, advantage is it can easily burn, and efficiency of the system will be improved for faster burning, and faster controlling is becoming also easier. That is the purpose of using this mill, which is used to convert a bigger form of 20 to 30 mm size of coal in terms of what? In pulverized format or powder format. Now, I want to send this mill, send this coal powder from the mill inside to the boiler. How to send? For sending this one, this is one of the important device. This is what called PA. PA means primary air fan. I am writing here. This is what called primary air. This primary air will takes the natural air from atmosphere and this will sending this air inside the mill, so that convey the coal powder from the mill into the boiler. This is also one of the important questions. What is the functioning of primary air fan? Primary air fan is used to transport or convey the coal powder from the mill to the boiler. Simple, right? Whenever coal is fired, for proper combustion of the coal, we require oxygen. For supplying of the oxygen, we are using one more fan. This is what called forced draft fan. Forced draft fan, which is actually used to supply the oxygen. It is nothing but natural air only. It is just fan is there, fan will take the atmospheric air and pushing this air inside the boiler, so that actually supplying indirectly oxygen is supplied into the boiler for proper combustion. Right. When the coal is fired, produces flue gases, different changes temperature we are gaining, observing this temperature, and this inside the flue gas, ash particles are there. Those ash particles we are along with this flue gas, we are supposed to send to the outside. So you can imagine this one. Here, this is actually, imagine this one. This is the flue gas. I'm taking here. This is the flue gas coming from the boiler. Flue gas coming from the boiler. Okay, and it is containing ash particles. That ash particles has to be properly removed. For this purpose, we are using an instrument or an equipment what called electrostatic precipitator. Electrostatic precipitator. It is working on principle of electrical field. Imagine this one. This is actually one plate. This is another simple wire or plate you can imagine. In between, I am applying some potential is applied. So what will happen? From the positive plate to the negative plate, some electrical field is actually generated. Now, in between this gap, I am sending the flue gas. That flue gas is containing ash particles. So these ash particles having both positive and negative charge carriers. Suppose it is actually negative plate, is a positive wire. Now what will happen now? The ash which is having positive and negative particles are there. Positive particles of ash will attracted toward the negative, negative will actually attracted toward the positive. So what they will do here, the ash particles which are attracted in these plates, they will do the hammering and ash particles will be collected, mix this ash with water and dump into the ash pond. Right. This is the basic principle of electrical field is used to collection of ash. That is the basic principle what we are using in the case of what? Electrostatic precipitator. This is also one more important question. What is the functioning of ESP? ESP is used to collect the ash particles from the boiler. Okay. Now we are having two types of ash collection is there. One is electrostatic precipitator, that is what called fly ash collection. Ash is fly, flue gas. Another is there. Here the boiler, the coal is fired, ash particles will actually collect some ash particles, not huge quantity, small. Some ash quantity is collected at the bottom of the boiler. Clear? At the bottom of the boiler, whatever is ash is actually falling, that should also be collected, mixing with the water and dumping into the ash pond. That is what called bottom ash hopper. This is actually providing with a bottom ash collection. This is what called fly ash collection. Where the fly ash collection is fly ash is collected in ESP. Where the bottom ash is collected is below the boiler. Okay, at the bottom of the boiler, bottom ash is actually collected. You can easily remember. Fly ash is collected in the electrostatic precipitator. After collection of the ash particles, and this this flue gases is passing through ID fan. This is actually ID fan is what called it as induced draft fan. Okay, this is what called induced draft fan, that is used to collect the flue gases from the boiler, and ESP is used to remove the ash particles, and after this removal of ash particles, what are the flue gases are there, that is released to the what? Chimney. So these flue gases are released to the atmosphere through this chimney. So these are the extra components that we have to use in the case of what? Thermal plants, like primary air fan convey the coal powder from the mill to the boiler. FD fan used to supply the oxygen. ESP collection of ash particles. ID fan extract the flue gases from the boiler. But important, one more important device is there. Suppose see that for the coal I am sending, in case of rainy season or cold season, the moisture will actually accumulate, I mean the coal becoming now moisturized. I want to remove the moisture. If you not remove the moisture, it will take more time for burning. For removal of the moisture inside the coal, for this purpose, the air which is coming from the atmosphere is a cold air. It may be 20 degrees or 25 degrees in the rainy season. If the cold air, if it should not be sent into the mill directly. For that, air should be reheated. For that, I am using one more device. This is what called air preheater. The name itself is, I am giving here, this is what called air preheater. Okay. So, this air preheating means we are preheating the air. How we can do that? This is a simple cylindrical shape of drum type shape is there, where actually it is rotating. In this one, you are providing with the blades. Now you can imagine this is actually a plate. Flue gases are passing. This is the flue gas which are actually passing. This plate will get heated up. The plate is getting heated up. Now the plate is now rotating, moving. It is moving. When it is moving, when it is rotating here, what will happen now? The heat will be transmitted to the primary air and as well as FD fan air. So that what will happen now? This air will gain the heat. The temperature will be raised. So this is a cold air. This one is cold, I will write down this one here. After this will becoming now hot air. So sometimes what will happen, this hot air temperature is, if it is much higher, then there is a possibility that coal may burn inside the mill itself before transmitting into the boiler. For that purpose, what they can do, some part of the cold air also they can mix up with hot air. Not of complete part, they will use some controller here, simple controller, and controlling that one, they can mix up with cold air with hot air. The mixing of proportionate temperature of the air temperature, that is actually controlled. After that, it is passed into the mill, that is used to remove the moisture inside the coal. Okay, that is the functioning of this air preheater. Okay, air preheater is used to remove the, is used to increase the temperature of primary air fan and FD fan air, so that finally improve the thermal efficiency. Okay, this is about the simple layout of the thermal plant. Okay, so in this case, you can observe one of the important, what is the role of electrical engineer in the thermal plant? See here, in case of thermal plants like NTPC or in or any state government thermal plants, they will give the notification. For example, this year through the gate examination for NTPC, they have called more than 100 engineers. That 100 engineers not only from one department, they are actually called for interview for the electrical engineers, instrumentation engineers, electronics and communication engineers, and mechanical engineers. So almost all the departments are there. So why they are actually called this many different types of engineers? Because whenever all the engineers are coordinated, then only you will get the rated electrical output power is possible. So just I will give you that what is the role of engineers in the thermal plant. So this is actually one of the main thing, role of engineers. What are the responsibilities of engineers in our thermal plants? For this purpose, I am taking one by one. For example, I am taking his electrical engineers. Just think of this plan. Why I am giving this example? If we know this complete layout in your mind, so that you will get the idea what are the number of questions you can expect from the interview point of view. And once you are selected in the department, what are the areas you are supposed to work, you will enjoy the work also. Now think of as an electrical engineer. In case of electrical engineer, what are the responsibilities? They should take care of all the electrical equipment, functioning should be proper. So for this purpose, in the electrical department, they are having different sections are there. One section is of maintenance. Another section is meters, relays and testing. This is what called MRT. Another section, instrumentation and controls. Instrumentation and control section. Another section is shift engineers. These are all the electrical maintenance. Okay, these are all the different departments. They are actually classified in any thermal plant. Now just I will give the responsibilities of each person what they will do. For example, think of this maintenance. What their responsibility of maintenance is, now think of this plant. In this, we are having a generator, we are having a transformer, bus bar and transmission lines, substation, everything is there. And we are having a pumps like circulating water pump, condensate extraction pump, boiler feed pump, right? And different types of fans, PA fan, FD fan, mills, air preheater, ID fan. These many fans, these many pumps are there. How the pumps will work? For that we are using different sizes of motors. For example, this is BFA already told 4 megawatts of power. So, for 4 megawatts of electrical motor is running, whether this motor is running properly or not, whether it is taking a proper input of voltage, whether output current is within the rating, whether internal cooling mechanism of the motor is proper or not, and is there any abnormal noise is actually coming, any heating is there inside the motor. All these observations of each equipment of motors, generators, transformers and these fans, fan motors, all this will be taken care or looking after by the maintenance people. If any abnormal condition is actually occur, immediately they will go for some maintenance and do the repairing work. For that actually they will use all the concepts what we have studied in regular class for make it ready, so that actually generation should not be affected. That is actually the main role of this maintenance people. For this purpose, what you have to think of is how the motor should be protected. What is the protection scheme we are using in the motors? Generator, what is the generator protection scheme, and what is the transformer, what is the type of relays, and what is actually internal parts of the circuit breakers, where actually any abnormal things are there. Those things will be taken care of by the engineers like maintenance and as well as MRT. MRT means meters, relays and testing. So, they will periodically do the testing of relays. Suppose think of this generating station is connected to the transmission line. The transmission line is used what we have studied in regular class is distance relay. Or you think of it generator protection. In case of generator protection, you are using is percentage differential relay. A transformer, percentage differential relay point of combination. So, whether these relays are functioning or not, they have to do the periodical testing, overcurrent relays. And for the motor point of view, temperature based actually relays are used, thermal relays. Okay, and other protection relays like overcurrent and earth fault relays. In case of transformer, book holds relay. What you have studied in the regular class, all this protection is they will look after by the MRT people. Not only relays, circuit breakers and meters, ammeter, voltmeter, those things actually they will look after how the healthiness is there for this equipment point of view. Next one, instrumentation controls. See the one of the interesting thing. These are the equipments of turbines, generators and condenser, boiler, everything is there. All the data are actually, all the equipments are not kept in one single room. They are distributing throughout the thermal plant. It will occupy around 2 to 3 kilometers of area. For example, think of his coal ad. Coal ad from the control room takes around 1 or 2 kilometers distance. So, from that 1 or 2 kilometers of distance, we have to transmit the coal. Whether coal is available or not, whether properly through the conveyor belt coal is transmitting or not, how do you know that? For this purpose, what they can do, they will use instrumentation and controls. What you have studied in control system, feedback loops. That feedback loops plays major role in the case of what? Instrumentation controls. For example, think of a small example. I told this actually drum level, especially for the instrumentation students, you have studied 3-level drum level control in your engineering. So, what is the meaning of 3-level control? That is, one is of water level, another is steam level. The steam is entering into the turbine, that means flow rate of the steam or flow rate of the water. Think of is flow rate of the water which is coming from the boiler feed pump outside. 3 things have to take care. One is of what is the inlet and what is the levels we are using is water level, steam level and what is the flow rate. All this is what called 3-level control of the drum, it should be taken care. So, this from the drum up to the control room, we have to transmit the signal, whether it is maintaining properly or not. For that, we have to use different types of instruments. So, those things require a proper control system, feedback loops are actually required. That is why this department will actually taking care of instrumentation controls. And shifting engine is always has to maintain. For example, think of generating station, it is always running for 24 hours, 365 days is running. So that actually the shift engineers are working in sessions for 8 hours of session, and those 8 hours of session they will continuously monitoring the equipments in different areas, boiler section, turbine section, generator section, and control room, and common auxiliary section. This is the common auxiliary section. Like this, different engineers are actually located, and they will look after whether these equipments are properly running or not, and proper inputs are actually providing to the equipments. Like I am sending a coal from the mill to the boiler. From where the mill is getting the coal? From coal hopper. The coal hopper is properly working or not, they have to check. So that the common auxiliaries engineer will actually go and actually will inspecting periodically whether it is healthily working or not. Similarly, turbine and as well as generator. So this complete group of engineers actually coordinating all the departments so that proper output is possible. So that is actually these are some of the roles of our electrical engineers. So for the electrical point of view, electrical students point of view, what you have to think of for the interview point of view for the NTPC or Power Grid or any state level examinations, you should think of is basically of electrical motors production. And for motor giving proper supply, we require a cable. What is the cable rating? What is actually the important concepts related to the cable, right? Generator, transformer protection, and how to control the speeds of these motors. So speed control of the motors. So these are some of the common areas should concentrate. Along with you can think of the control system also, right? In case of generator, you should think of the excitation. What is the importance of the excitation? What is the turbine? And what you have studied in regular class is of load frequency control, and another is of stability control, and how to maintain the voltage by using the excitation. These are the different areas you should concentrate as per the electrical students point of view for getting good marks in the interview and as well as in the regular exams also. Okay. Once you know this basic understanding of the layout, so that you will concentrate the areas where you have to think of for the preparation point of view. Okay. This is related to the electrical engineers. Now coming to the another area, that is another department, just I am giving here, instrumentation. Those who have done the BTech in instrumentation engineering, for those people as students can observe here, I started with DM water, which is having a pH is more than 9. So how do you measure the pH value? For that we require the pH transducer is required. So the responsibility for the instrumentation students are, they will supposed to know what is being a pH meter, how it works, and what is the input and what is the output, and if the minerals are there, what the chemicals are actually they are using, and what actually the chemicals can be changed, how to measure those chemical ratings, and everything should be taken care. Another interesting point, think of here, I am giving all the parameters of water, 16 kgs, 110 degrees centigrade, 165 kgs, 600 tons per hour. What is the meaning of this one? We have to measure the flow rate of steam, water, and temperature, and as well as pressure. For that, what do you require? You require flow transducer, pressure transducer, and temperature transducers are required. So for this, you must know the basic principles of these transducers like thermocouples and flow transducers, hot wire anemometers, and as well as pressure transducers like capacitor transducers. Those things you should keep in mind for what you have studied in the transducer parts, and what are the limitations and what are the ranges, these you can expect in the examination. And one more thing, here you can think of here, everywhere some flow rate is there, pressure, temperatures are there. And one more point, once the equipments like condensate extraction pump or BFP motors, and as well as these fans and everything is there. For that you have to provide proper voltage, proper current, proper energy frequency. how to measure the current, how to measure the voltage, how to measure the frequency, how to measure the power and energy from the output of the generators. Clear? For this we have to think of all the instruments like voltmeter, ammeter, wattmeter, energy meter and power factor meter, frequency meter and some of the instrument transformers. These things are also plays major role, are important for the case of main instrumentation students. Once you are getting all the data fine, all the data are available, whether they are using any mechanical gauges in the control room for temperature, using a thermometer on kitna temperature, is it possible? Impossible. For that what they are using? They are converting all the data of temperature in terms of visibility point of view in case of CRT or CRO. So that is the idea of using CRO, what the need of the CRO, how the CRO works and what is actually the inputs of the CRO. That is the area you have to concentrate for the instrument point of view. So this is actually basic role of our instrumentation engineers and different types of transducers, instruments, how it will actually works out. Like I am giving here for understanding all the meters like ammeter, voltmeter and wattmeter and energy meter you can think of. Another one is CRO, another one is all types of transducers should also be, you should think of whenever attending the interviews in NTPC or Power Grid or any other competitive examinations related to this thermal plant. Okay. Now, coming to the next engineer's point of view here, think of mechanical. Mechanical students is plays major role. Entire process is working on Rankine cycle. Standard question, what is meaning of Rankine cycle? So in case of Rankine cycle and Carnot cycle, what is the basic difference? And in case of Rankine cycle, what are the different types of main process they are using? Whether they are using the process of asentropic process or isothermal process, constant pressure process in this one, and how to improve the Rankine cycle. What is the difference between the Rankine cycle of normal Rankine cycle and reheat Rankine cycle? So these are all the standard questions you can expect. Another one, these are the areas where actually you can observe here, turbine. So in case of turbine point of view, so how to improve this efficiency point of view of the turbine, and where the areas where they can take out this steam, the stages of the steam they can taken out and they are actually entering into the heaters, so that improve the efficiency of the thermal plant. And they are using different pumps. So what are the types of pumps they are actually using? Whether they are using a centrifugal pump or any other type of pump they are using. Okay, so what is the principle of these pumps? And one more thing, what is the difference between a pump and motor? And what is the difference between pump and a turbine? And what is meaning of regenerative heating, and one more is reheating, regenerate cycle and reheat cycle. And what is the difference between a boiler and condenser? Okay, these are all these things that you can expect for the mechanical point of view. Here, this is one device of mechanical. This also you can think of all this equipment like air purifier. This actually comes under common auxiliaries. So in case of mechanical, they are actually concentrate on mainly turbine and boiler. What are different types of boilers they can use? And think of here common auxiliaries like pumps, and comparison between the components and what is the different types of cycles they can use this one, comparisons. Okay, these are the areas you should concentrate related to the power plant engineering or thermal plant point of view for the mechanical students. Okay. Now coming to the one more department, think of here communication, electronics and communication students. In the case of electronics and communication students, imagine control room is actually kept in the area where the turbines and generators are actually placed. So, from the control room nearer to the turbine, the distance is around 50 meters, and from the same control room up to the coal yard is around 1 to 2 kilometers. How to get the data from the coal plant or from the turbine or from the boiler? For that, what they can do? They are using, for example, boiler temperature. Boiler temperature they are measuring by using a transducer like thermocouple. That thermocouple is converting temperature in terms of voltage. From this thermocouple of voltage signal, we are amplifying. After that, it has to transmit up to the control room. When we are transmitting up to the control room, that means we are getting the data. That means they are using what called data acquisition system. So, in case of data acquisition system used by the main communication people, how they will maintain? Whether using 4 to 20 milliamp signal or 0 to 110 volts of signal, whether they are using a position control or they can use a voltage control or a current control, which telemetry they are using. So, that in this case, what is actually the telemetry methods they are adapting in case of our thermal plants. Okay, these are actually the areas. One more thing, the power whatever is we are getting here is transmitting through the power lines, that is at a frequency of 50 hertz. But how much of power we are transmitting? How much of voltage, how much of current? These things we are supposed to be transmitted to the main load dispatch center. For transmitting this to the load dispatch center, here the communication people are maintaining remote terminal units. By using this remote terminal units, many of you know this name. They are using SCADA technique, supervisory control and data acquisition system. By using this method, they are transmitting the each parameter data, main parameters of generator, transformer data to the load dispatch center. So, that is actually that communication process how they can do by using this SCADA. Not only this one substation to other substation, one generating station to other generating station to the load dispatch center, they are supposed to communicate. Voice communication, not only data communication. For this voice communication or data communication, they are using here power line carrier communication method is used. That means power line itself is used for communicating the power signal as well as the communication signal. For this, they have to think of these PLCs, what are the principles, how it works for all these data. One more important thing here. Suppose I am working in a coal plant. That coal plant area, conveyor belts are actually running, and huge size of motors are actually used for running of these conveyor belts. I am working in mill area. Huge heavy capacity motors are used to run a mill. In those areas, noise is so much of disturbance is there. If two people, they are very close to each other also, but they cannot able to hear the other person noise. Clear voice, whenever actually I am saying that hi, how are you, you cannot able to hear because of that so much of disturbance is there because of the equipment which are running. Now we can imagine how they will actually communicate one with the other one. For that they are using is walkie-talkie. Okay, that is actually is cordless system of walkie-talkie. And how these walkie-talkies are actually works, what are the communication methods they are using, that is also comes under electronic communication part. Another one, so one person is working on one area, coal is actually transmitting, suppose actually conveyor belt is stopped, I should inform that to the person who are actually 200 meters away, so much of sound is there. For that we have to announce, announcement systems are there, that is what called public addressing system. So, in that public address system, for heavy noise or disturbance areas, they are using is inside public addressing system, that is the electronics and communication department will actually look after that one. They will make, they will having a small speaker handset and they are push a button, they are announcing, so and so person please call, conveyor belt has stopped. So, this type of information they will actually announce by using this type of public addressing system. The maintenance of this public addressing system, simply call it as PA system, all this will be taken care by the communication people. So, these are the areas you should concentrate, because think of if any person is came for asking, we came to you and they are asking about some job. What is your first objective? Which area vacancy is there? In that area, this person is actually capable of doing that work or not. So for that purpose, what you can ask the questions? Ask the questions related to that particular area. Similarly, you can think of here also. Whenever actually I want to work in NTPC, I want to work in any power sector or any main power generating plants like state department plants. In that first thing, what is my role there? What is my actually working nature? Which area I should work? Why I should work? That I should actually think of first. If these things you keep in mind, then you will enjoy the subject also. Whenever learning the things also you will enjoy. So because of this reason, I am studying this subject. Because of this reason, I am actually concentrating on the concepts. Okay, for that purpose, this video actually I make to create some interest to the students. What is the basic role of or responsibilities of all the different departments? Suppose see that I am not telling only for the one department. I actually covered around 4 departments. One is of electrical, another is instrumentation, another one is mechanical, another one is electronics. If all the departments are coordinating properly, then only each section, each equipment will work properly and you will get the rated power output. That is how the NTPC sector is actually generating a power of more than 60,000 megawatts, and we are enjoying in this lockdown period with our fans, AC and everything. But think of your seniors who are already working there with a lot of effort. So if you want to get very good job and you want to enjoy your work, first you must know some fundamentals of these concepts related to the subject point of view. Automatically you can easily face the interview. If you ask any question related to this topic, you can easily answer the questions in the interviews. So by keeping all this in mind, actually I have planned to make a video on this particular part. I hope this will help you a lot for attending the interviews and understanding the process of our thermal system. Similarly, you can think of is in case of gas plants, instead of coal they are sending a simple gas. Nuclear plant, in this process they are using as a nuclear. Like that you can easily understand the other process also once you know this simple layout of our thermal plant. Okay. So through this channel of MADEASY and MADEASY Prime, I think all the students are getting benefited, and you can expect more questions and as well as more videos like this, so that it will be very useful to the MADEASY students and as well as all the other students also. Thank you very much for your valuable time. Please take care from the COVID-19. All the best for all your interviews. Be energetic and be happy. Enjoy and take care from the COVID-19. Thank you very much.